Item number 9, AR 15-058. Petition to amend the zone map Shoreline Gardens LLC, change a portion of 31 Old Post Road from R20 to I2, a portion from R30 to I2, a portion from R20 to R30, and a portion from I2 to R30. Is there an applicant?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to have Pam Fritz recuse herself from this application. I have correspondence from the applicant, and from what I read, she should not be able or have any say whatsoever in this application. And if it need be, I'll read the letter.
I certainly would like to hear the letter.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I read it.
The person being challenged has said it's okay. Go ahead.
We respectfully request that Pam Fritz, who is a member of the Planning and Zoning Board, recuse herself from any involvement regarding any discussions and or decisions regarding Shoreline Gardens LLC, Scott Suzanne Baker property decisions. The request is because we feel is a conflict of interest as she is our neighbor and has a preconceived agenda regarding our property. We bought the property and business, an established 25-year business 11 years ago, and have continued to build it into a viable town Clinton business. We plan on continuing and building our retirement around this business as well. We have maintained neutrality with all the property issues surrounding us, the Pinder suit, the Unilever properties, etc., that Mrs. Fritz has been a spearhead or involved in. This has caused her to resent us because we have not supported her agendas. The reason for a grave concern regarding Mrs. Fritz's position on the Planning and Zoning Board have been ongoing issues, but today, Sunday, April 12, 2015, at approximately 0930 hours, cemented our fears. We were moving our trailer to our second property entrance to load harvested cedar logs for our upcoming building expansion. Once again, Mrs. Fritz's vehicle was parked directly in front of the entrance, which she does on a constant basis, even though we asked her to repeatedly not to, as we don't understand why she has to park on the side of the road opposite her party. Scott Baker has walked up to her property prior to moving the trailer and asked to move her vehicle so he could back the trailer into the entrance without endangering her vehicle, as she was concerned about hitting her vehicle. Mrs. Fritz refused to move her vehicle, stating he had no right to enter our property through this entrance because we didn't own the property in front of the entrance, and we had an entrance further down our property. Scott said we were going to divide our property, and this historical farm gate entrance would be our entrance to our new home. She responded that we, Scott and Suzanne Baker, have no right to use that entrance because she is on the zoning board and she knows the law and she knows about our upcoming hearing, and that project is not going to happen, and you will see that you are wrong. Scott repeated that he needed to get into the property. He was going to move the trailer into the entrance and she should move her vehicle. She replied she was calling the police, and Scott said that was a wise decision. Mrs. Fritz called the police. 3 cruisers arrived in moments, much to Scott's embarrassment, as he understands the cost to the town regarding the non-vital public concern. Scott explained that he was just trying to get into the entrance. The officer asked Scott why he just asked him to move the vehicle. Scott responded that he did. Mrs. Fritz said that he did not ask nicely and use profanity, which is uncharacteristic of Scott and humiliating to hear from that from the police officer. She said that they don't use it much. She obviously realizes that we do use the entrance, and they have another entrance down the road, which actually is just for business, not the balance of the property. The officer in charge asked her why she wouldn't move the vehicle when asked, so Scott could get into the entrance. She responded, this road was treated differently, that she was a member of the zoning board, she was landlocked. He then questioned her as to why she had to park her vehicles, as she tells her tenants to park there as well, on the opposite side of the road from her residence. At this point, one of the 2 officers asked Scott to move back to his vehicle, and they continued their questioning Mrs. Fritz out of hearing. Then the officer charged Scott if he threatened or used vulgarity. When Scott assured him they did not, he asked Scott if she did the same. He said no. She just kept repeating that she's on the planning and zoning board, and she threatened that he would be hearing from her lawyer in the town very soon. The officer said to Mrs. Fritz, Scott is right. All residents have a right to access the property. You can't block his entranceway. We are giving him permission to have your vehicle towed if you don't move it. She told the officer he was wrong and that the planning and zoning board would prove them wrong. She then told the police officers that we, Scott and Suzanne Baker, have scheduled a petition in front of the planning and zoning board, and that she is a member of the board, and the petition will be nullified and our interest will be taken away because of her landlocked status, and things will be straightened out and she will be proven accurate because they have another entrance. Just a personal note. We're not trying to be here to be he said, she said. We just don't understand why neighbors have to be cruel. We bought this property and this business of property 11 years ago with the understanding all permits, road issues were current and proper. Our original neighbors sold their house to the Stepankis family, and everything changed. We always maintained the road, the property, etc. We plowed the road. We graded the road. We cleaned and maintained the 7.75 acres. We improved the property, always getting required permits, paying fees, and paying all the taxes to it. The Pontus family assumed that they could use the property as a personal parking lot. We finally had to go to court and have the property road clarified to regain control of our business and property. We did all this at our expense, but we always paid our fees and taxes to the town, and at no time with no issues. I guess my question is, why can Mrs. Fritz, who appears to have a rental property, a small utility business, and an oversized garage that is used as storage units, and why Mrs. Stepankis appears to have planks to a home for haircuts and perms and allows them to use our parking area for their vehicles while at home and have no issues with the town, but can have my business and property called into attention at the drop of a hat. And all this occurs constantly, and we never complain. Called the police, and in fact, Mrs. Fritz's renter asked my permission to park her car in our parking lot in February because she cannot get up the street due to the lack of snow removal by residents in her car. I don't have a four-wheel drive vehicle, and I gladly gave her permission, as good neighbors do. I tried very hard to give back. My involvement over the lifetime is extensive. In Tallinn, I was PTO, Activities Director, Secretary, Tallinn's Women's Club President, Newsletter Editor, Vice President, etc., Assistant Coach, Tallinn Girls Softball League. In Clinton, I grow and donate 90% of the plant seedlings for the community garden at St. Mary's Church, which goes to the food pantry. Overall, the majority of Clinton residents are good people. We are trying very hard to make Clinton our permanent home for now and for retirement. We hope to do this by providing a business that benefits and supports the town and attracts people to the town of Clinton. I was there issuing a burning permit for the agricultural use, and they were very upset, and I asked them what was going on.
Well, before you go any
Excuse
further,
me,
no,
yes,
hold on,
Mr.
hold on,
I'm
hold on.
sorry.
First, I want to establish, the applicant is here, right?
Yes, sir.
Is that your letter, sir? Or-
It's actually my wife's letter, sir.
Okay, so.
It's her business, it's her letter, she wrote that.
All right, so Mr.
Robert's my-
Alberino didn't make it up whole cloth.
No,
It's your letter.
my wife wrote that letter.
Okay. I just want to make clear that it was your.
My wife, Suzanne Baker, wrote that
Your
letter.
complaint.
It's her business, she wrote the letter, sir.
Okay,
Identify yourself for the record.
Scott
Mr.
Baker, my name is Scott Baker. I live at 31 Old Post Road. My wife, Suzanne Baker, couldn't be here. We didn't realize we were needed here. She had to go to the hospital with her father.
do you want that letter to be introduced into the record?
Well, I guess the question is if we can resolve it. My name, for the record, is Robert Grabarek. I'm the agent for the applicant. And, you know, if you look at the police blotter, you will see that there are issues between the two parties involved, and I think that's probably enough to establish a case, and if we can just take care of that, we don't have to enter that into the record.
Very well, I'm going to give Mrs. Fritz an opportunity to respond to it, obviously, but
certainly would like to.
There's some, if there wasn't an issue before, there's one now.
First of all, I absolutely refute that letter, okay? I'm absolutely appalled that it was allowed to be even presented by one of our board members, frankly. Secondly, believe me, that letter, I have to say this, that letter is a pack of lies.
Pam,
And wait a minute, may I finish, please?
you may finish, but
Other
obviously-
people, I just want to say this right now. What is being discussed right now has to do with an application before the Planning and Zoning Commission. At this particular point in time, I have absolutely no intention and no reason, and there is absolutely nothing that would provide, except for hearsay that's been entered by someone who's been putting an application in. So at this particular point in time, all I can say is I will not recuse myself.
Pam, even if the letter was a complete fabrication, at this moment, by the challenge in and of itself, puts into question your ability to render an impartial decision on an application.
Oh, I guess
You
you're right.
have been on the other side of this fence before with other members of this commission that are no longer in this commission. I would strongly advise you, for the benefit of this entire commission, to recuse yourself.
Fine.
I can't force you to, but I would certainly strongly advise you to do so. This person is in a butter next to your property. You obviously now, at the very least, have a history as a result of this accusation. You responded to it. The safest course and the best course, and I don't say this lightly, is to recuse yourself. I can't make you, but I'm asking you to do the right thing.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, on your recommendation, I will recuse myself, which means, of course, that I will not contribute or say anything or be involved in anything that has to do.
That's right.
Okay, on that
That's
basis,
fine.
I'd like to withdraw this letter.
Okay. That means that you cannot participate in any
Mm-hmm,
presentation tonight,
mm-hmm,
and means you have to leave the room.
mm-hmm, okay, all right.
Thank you, Pam. I appreciate you taking the right action. Yep, you're not,
It's it, yeah.
she's stepping out.
Okay, thank you.
Just take another alternate. Do you seat another alternate?
Yes, I can. Gary, you're seated.
This point is just relevant.
Your big moment.
Mr. Bousquet is seated at 8:10 p.m. Okay, go ahead. with your
Okay,
presentation.
for the record, my name is Robert Grabarek, representing Shoreline Gardens. We have an application for a zone change. Currently, the parcel of interest is a single parcel. It's trisected, so it's actually in 3 separate zones. What we're proposing to do is to do a lot split. It would not be a subdivision because it qualifies for a lot split. We're taking one part of the parcel and proposing to have it as a R-30 residential zone. The remainder of the parcel, which has for 25 years historically had a commercial operation, we'd like to incorporate that into the I2 zone, which it does abut, so it wouldn't be spot zoning or anything like that. And, you know, it's going to bring a lot of information, but for these types of hearings, you would generally want to have me say as little as possible, schedule it, and then this way everything goes on the public record. So you have an application in front of us. We're requesting a public hearing for this application.
Any questions of the applicant on what is being proposed
Yeah,
preliminarily?
I have a question. What are the lot numbers for the area where the proposed changes taking place?
Yeah, I actually have some color ones, you know, the public hearing will bring colors.
It's not clear.
Yeah, I know, it's a little bit difficult, but right now, this area is in R30, that's R20, and then this area here is where we'd like to just turn this residential and bring the R30 zone up here, and then the I2 just extend it up into here where the existing greenhouses are.
One lot?
It's currently one lot. We would like to, once we get the zone change, we'll split it into 2 lots and be done with it.
And Mr. Mr. Grabarek, I called Julie because I was a little confused on the map. I had some
Yeah.
difficulty reading it, and she said that you're going to supply new ones.
I
You want-
haven't had a chance to
Oh, I'm
talk.
sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll definitely bring colored maps the next time around. It'll make a lot more.
With the streets,
Understand.
with the
With the
streets
streets, yeah.
clearly indicated.
Yes,
Yeah,
okay.
That was
will
part
do.
of the confusion, and then
All right.
perhaps maybe you could do.
Yeah, I could do some shading and things like that. I
the
actually,
original map versus what it would look like after the change.
yeah, I sat there for about a half an hour, trying to
We discussed
play with
it.
different things to make it look intelligible, and
Yeah, I think we need to
obviously,
display
unless
that
it's
that
color,
will
it didn't do
show
so well.
both options, yeah, both.
Yeah, okay, I'll have that for the meeting, yes.
Can
I have a question. When you first come up the driveway, you get the house that's existing.
On the left, yep.
What are you gonna do with that house?
That's going to be a residential property.
Okay,
It's partly in, I think, R20 and R30.
right.
We would just take that, split it off, and have that as an R30.
And what's the size of that lot gonna be?
That would be this area right in here.
And then where the greenhouses are existing now,
The greenhouses are back here.
right,
That's a commercial, and this would be this area. There's a lot of wetlands along that
right.
property.
And then to the right is where you're gonna build?
Well, right now, there are existing greenhouses there.
Right, I'm talking about the new house. You can build another house.
No, not a house. They'd like to put a small building in for offices for the greenhouse operation that's currently existing. No more houses, no more residential.
So you're still gonna live there? Right.
At the moment, yes, sir.
Since I'm not familiar with the site.
Sure.
Sorry, can you just indicate it, and then where the driveways are
Okay.
currently?
Well, very briefly, this is Old Post Road. We come up the street here, which was the subject of some lawsuit that was finally settled. This is all sorted out. The house is right here. This area will be split off as strictly a residential parcel,
Bringing into the R30 zone here.
bringing it to the R30 zone. It's partly an R20, but we're making it, keeping with the R30, not the R20. And it's going to be oversized even for an R30.
What is this line?
That's an existing zone line.
Those things are split right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the greenhouses are up here, and this is I2 here, so it would be a contiguous I2 zone. And this parcel, separate from this one, would be rezoned, partially rezoned as I2, because part of it is I2. And the existing greenhouse operation, which has been there for a quarter of a century, will remain.
If you can just indicate the.
Yeah, I'll have a lot more. Yes.
Right there.
You're going to make a more formal presentation of the public hearing, I assume.
Yeah, well, in the past, I've gone to meetings like this, and I've started on a presentation, and they're like, just stop here because we want to have everything on the public record, so I tried to make this really short.
That's what I'm suggesting.
Yes.
Okay, may I have a motion to receive, if there's no further questions or discussion, motion to receive it?
Move to receive
And
Sure.
then we schedule the public
and
hearing.
schedule a public hearing on May 4th.
May 4th? At 7 o'clock in the Greenville.
At 7 p.m. in the break.
Is there a...
I'll second that.
Okay, Ed has seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, anyone opposed, say no. Abstaining? Okay, it's received.
Thank you. I have a
John,
question
you're
for
gonna
you.
get- Huh?
I have a question. I could put together a PowerPoint presentation, maybe do it on the back wall or something. Would you guys be okay with that? Because it'd probably help a lot with,
That's
usually it's like
fine.
little boards and
Just
things like
arranging
that.
with land use and,
Okay.
Yeah, there's a screen here too.
There's a screen right there.
All right, good. Yeah, I can do that, and that'll just make life a lot easier. I can blow things up bigger and put color and make it a lot more intelligible for everybody.
sounds like a plan.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question for Julie.
Yeah.
This wasn't date stamped, although the application isn't, the plan was. The other one was dated on the 30th, and we had to schedule the hearing on the 11th.
On the first, no, this one came in before the one on, the one before one, the one from Founder's Village came in afterwards. That came in on the 31st. And this one had come in,
No, it's not,
Yeah, a few days before.
yeah, I was able to get it out the day it came in.
okay, that was stamped the 30th, okay.
The date stamping was gotten, sorry, it came in the Thursday before the 30th.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
you're done.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Let the record reflect that Ms. Fritz has returned, and Gary is relieved of his temporary duties. And it is 8:17.